All right. So with that, we're all set. People want to come find us. Now they know where to do it. But in any case, we're going to go ahead and start here. Once again, welcome to the Reds Disciples podcast. Again, this is a companion podcast with the Reds Disciples, an interactive Facebook community dedicated to your 17-time, soon to be 18-time world champion Boston Celtics. We are doing a recap here of tonight's thrilling 113-111 win in preseason game number 2 against the Toronto Raptors. With me again is my trusty co-host now, Billy. Billy, how you doing? Repping the Al. I like it.
Had to get the Al jersey out of the mothballs over there. It's so nice having them back.
Yeah, you do.
Dust.
Yeah, you do. You definitely have to do that. And he was good. He was good. What are your initial thoughts for tonight's game so far?
I'm really conflicted because I think they sold me on the double big lineup with Rob and Al because the spacing, everything was just, the ball was moving. It was magnificent. But if that double big lineup means we get Canner minutes, I don't know if, the juice is worth the squeeze.
Yeah. So, like I said, that's a great point because I did love Al with Rob, but you're right. I think I'm hoping that this is still more of preseason Udoka figuring out what he's got where, that type of thing. But yeah, I did love, this was pretty much our first time really seeing that pairing together. So Canner aside, what did you see from that pairing of Al and Rob together, with Al playing kind of almost a Draymond role, if you will, a little bit at times?
Very much so. The way they spaced the floor with him hitting the three like that, it opened everything up. And then obviously his passing. And then Rob not having to try to catch the ball at the top of the key and look for guys, just being able to slash, attack the basket, go, go, go. I mean, it was phenomenal. Now, Toronto doesn't really have a lot of bigs. I know everybody's going to be impressed with Precious's stat line, but he isn't exactly an Embiid or a Jokic. He's a little undersized. So, I mean, some of that is matchup based, but man, Rob and Al just put on a show.
They did. And what I'd love to see was seeing that ball go in, touch the paint, and then get kicked right back out when it was necessary. And guys were being found wide open and put in the rotation. I was checking the boxes, 29 assists on 38 baskets tonight. Much better effort with the assists, especially because guys were just simply hitting shots. But overall, really good ball movement. That was one thing that I really took away from the game today.
No, that was Spurs basketball. I mean, that was that classic prime. That's the other person you can kind of compare Al to, is he's really developing into that. When Tim Duncan got older, that's the kind of role he played. He did a little of everything. Instead of doing that, 15, 17-foot bank shot, he's doing it from 3 because the game's evolved a little bit over the years. But it's something pretty special. I did love the assists, the turnovers. I know it's preseason. We're supposed to look past those, but 23 turnovers is just such an eye-popping number.
Yeah.
It's starting to be concerning because it's kind of becoming a trend.
Right. And so, right, it's easy to be concerned. Like, is this just guys feeling each other out still, or is this like we still have a lot to clean up? And my suspicion is with a lot of things, it's a little bit of both, but maybe even a little bit more of some of the other stuff. Because we started out that first quarter really great, with that 31-16 first quarter that we started out with, Al playing great. Like I said, that that starting five we had, even without Jalen, who, if you're just tuning in and you missed it, Jalen obviously got COVID, but he is asymptomatic. He's going to miss the rest of the preseason, unfortunately. But from what I understand, he should still be available when it's time to play the games. But even with missing him, I thought that starting five with in fact
Mr. Langford.
Mr. Langford, yeah. Mr. Langford started in his place and he looked confident out there. He was stepping in the shots like we obviously Langford's had his story and his struggles just to get on the court have been, have been chronicled ad nauseum over this first, what is it now, 2-3 years here. But now finally getting a regular camp, getting a regular time in, he's starting to look like the guy we hoped he would be.
Yeah, Romeo really impressed me. I mean, it's been a long time since he was the best high schooler in the country, to the point where I forgot that he was actually that elite. But a little bit of health and kind of getting his confidence, I think that game winner did tremendous things for his confidence, because he's looking for that shot now. And that's such a difference. He's not hesitating. He's not scared. And he had a couple attacks to the basket where it's like, oh, he's not even afraid to get bumped or get hurt. He's on it the whole way. It's awesome.
Right. Like looking a little bit more like that kid who was finishing at like 65-70% at the rim. He threw up that little, I don't know, like 9-foot floater. Like I remember coming in his first season, everyone's like, he's got that floater that just looks like it's on point. Like a lot of people, I feel like for a lot of players, it takes a while to develop the touch needed to hit that floater consistently. And I thought he had that touch very early on, but obviously we stopped being able to see it. But maybe we will start to see that and maybe see him as a 3-level guy, perhaps in the future.
My rational comp for him, and it's going to definitely age me, but I didn't really see it before, but I'm starting to see it. He could just be a late bloomer like a Latrell Sprewell. Kind of, you can attack you could hit the jumper, you kind of do a little of everything, and a good defender.
Absolutely. He very well could be that. That's a great, I even consider Sprewell, but yeah, Sprewell took a minute before he really started to come in after his first few years. I think he started out at Golden State, right?
Yep.
But
maybe it's the hair that made me think of that comp too. But when he kept in the basket, something I'm like, you know what? I've seen this before. Now it was 21 years ago, but I still seen this before.
Right. Yeah. So I thought that right, the turnovers were stuff that we obviously need to clean up a bit. What did you think of Smart today?
I love the assists. I thought he maybe passed a little too much. He kind of, which isn't the worst thing in the world, because I thought he overpassed a couple times, but I thought it was a great improvement from the previous game. Obviously, the turnovers, a couple turnovers aren't great, but you'll take a 7-2 assist to turnover ratio. There ain't nothing wrong with that. I kind of figured out what our offense is, it seems. It seems like Udoka's going for the switch in the post and then just drawing the attention there and creating from there. Because you notice that it was always like Tatum getting it in the post, getting the double team, either kicking it out to Al or even throwing it out further out to Pritchard to what he called 4-point line, which is how far Pritchard stands. And that opens up the driving lanes. It kind of opens up everything. I really think that's going to be our offense. We're going to get mismatches in the post and create from there.
Yeah, and one of the things we've been talking about since we started this podcast is getting to see hopefully a more post entry instead of just pick a wing or above the break pick or high screen and roll to penetrate in and kick out all the time, because we had a tendency when the first screen breaks down, guys are left with no second option. And with that ends up with the Jays just dribbling the air out of the ball and trying to find something, and they just end up in turnovers. But I thought we saw with more post entry, we started to see some cutting and things like that. Those were definitely great things to see with the offense moving forward.
Yeah, that's how Tatum got all of his assists. I mean, for him to get 7 assists creating out of the post like that, I mean, if that's going to be something he consistently do, maybe not 7, but 5 or 6 assists a game with his free throw attempts going up. He didn't even have a good shooting night, yet he dominated the game just by the way he was playing in his presence, because he affected everything on the court.
Agreed. So, let's see here. One of the things I wanted to look at. So, give me your top 3 guys for today. Give me your top 3 guys. Top 3 guys you were impressed with.
Well, we talked about him a lot, but they're really, the way he played, you can't talk about him too much. Al is phenomenal at 35. Like, whatever he's doing, whatever his diet is, he found the fountain of youth, whatever it is, God bless him, because he's phenomenal. It's a joy having him back on the court. The ball moves, the shots, everything. I mean, he really should have been 5 for 5 from 3, but, Tatum got that offensive foul when he kicked it out to Horford and he hit that last one. But, I mean, that's just phenomenal basketball. I mean, he did a little of everything. He defended, he rebounded, he hit shots. Just perfect night for Al.
Right. He was definitely one of mine as well. And you wouldn't think that he generates as much gravity as he does. Like a lot of people are so concerned about him at his age and 35. And recently, just during this week, Ime said he's good to go for back-to-backs. It's a lot of people, a lot of pundits, national and local, that were initially suggesting that we might sit Al on back-to-backs because he's 35. And it's funny to me that 35 here and Al, whose game has never been athletically based, is still gets so much like, oh, we have to treat Al with kid gloves. And I guess that's coming off the Kemba thing. It must be, shock from that. But while Kyle Lowry is 35 and everyone talks like, he's added so much, no one's concerned about his age or benching him on back-to-backs. But in any case, Udoka said that Al is good to go for that. And he just looks like he's going to be whether he's at the 4 or at the 5, he looks like he's going to be making impact wherever he is on the floor. What to me was a great play that just really underscored how bouncy and lively he is right now was the run out.
Yes.
The run out where he beat everybody down the court off the challenge, and Tatum grabbed the ball in the look ahead and got him racing up the court for the dunk. I mean, that's just vintage Al right there. And, he's just obviously super excited. We'll see how he is at game 50, of course, obviously. But I think you have to feel really good about Al's bounce right now.
Oh, yeah. Him beating Van Fleet down the court on that break. I mean, that's just hilarious. That's awesome to see. The old man still got it, man. There's
to
that. So
who else did you like?
I think my second one is going to be, the underappreciated, the punching bag, Mr. Grant Williams. He had the defense. He hits his shots. I mean, they tried to get him in every switch imaginable. And you know what? He stayed with his guys. He didn't get beat.
Absolutely. I had Grant as well. Um, that, as someone who people were like, a lot of people I've seen on Twitter are like, well, we might as well just get rid of Grant. And then, since we're getting rid of all the guys that were punching bags last year, the Carsons, the Javantes, the Shemi Ojales, Grant had a bad year, might as well move him. And I knew that we had not seen the last of him, that Brad liked him still too much. But what I'm really impressed with is Grant's commitment to work this off season. Um, obviously losing the weight was great, and it proves how right he was anyway. That he suggested I put on a bunch of muscle and weight to body because I figured I was going to play a lot more five last year, and he got punished in the switches all the time because of that more size, and he couldn't get up. And now he looks spry, and I love seeing him with Al. It's just like that. That's the perfect guy for him to learn from, and you see that he was great on the cuts off Al's post. We saw that little dump down early in the game where Grant came and crashed, and Al hit him with the drop. It's just awesome, and he hit his threes. I mean, if Grant's going to do that kind of thing, I mean, he really adds a lot of depth to this team. Like, really appreciate again just how our younger players are contributing to this team so far. Just I think it's really puts us in dealing from a position of strength when we have the depth of the young guys that are actually contributing to the team.
Yeah, especially if Tatum's going to have an off shooting night. Just having guys that can hit an open shot, you see what a difference it makes in the game. It's unbelievable. It's like, oh, Tatum doesn't have to score 40 for us to win a game like this when it's ugly.
Right, absolutely. He doesn't. And I think it'll help with Jalen, just knowing that there are guys out there that hopefully Jalen can and will trust to pass out, because Jalen deals from the post sometimes too. But we all know that Jalen from time to time gets a bit of tunnel vision. But hopefully him being able to see this, take a step back and realize, okay, I got guys who, if I do pass it to this year, they are gonna make the shot. They are gonna make the shot. Aaron Nesmith stepped in once again, continuing to look comfortable as well. So having Grant, having him in there, it's been great. What did you think about hearing about, speaking of Grant, about the altercation, the little battle between him and Smart in practice the other day?
I don't think that's surprising. I think everybody knew, especially since the day he was drafted, that Grant's really annoying in practice and people are going to check him sometimes. But you need that. That gets people go. It keeps people involved. It keeps people motivated. It's like brothers wrestling in the backyard. It's nothing harmful. It's not like these guys hate each other. But it is sometimes you got to check a guy when he's kind of getting out of line. And both of them can be guilty of being a little too flamboyant with their flops. Let's be honest.
Right. That Marcus was the one talking about that is the quintessential Spider-Man meme, like, don't flop. Like,
Yep.
what are you talking? Like, who are you talking to? Like, who are you talking to? Telling me about flopping, talking to me about flopping. But
I would much rather have that than when like Marcus Morris is getting mad at Jalen for like missing him on a pass and taking a shot that he might have even have made. Like those kind of fights, that's what we don't want. The selfishness stuff where it's all about, oh, I'm trying to get mine. But if it's like that, they're just competing and they both want to beat each other to that spot, and maybe one kind of sold it better than the other. I'm totally all in on that. That's cool stuff.
Yeah, and I as annoying as Grant is, like Grant is just he's like just he's like always like he's reminds you like a 12-year-old, like he's stuck at 12-year-old. He's always got a grin on his face. He's always smiling. He's always playful. Like,
Always.
right. But like, I think that kid could really benefit from just a little bit of nasty.
Yeah.
I feel like if he just plays the game with a little bit of nasty, a little bit of toughness, like that would really like add layers to it. That would add another layer to his game. If we could see that, I'd love to see him work on his post moves a little bit more. Um, he's not a guy that we're ever going to feed in the post a lot, except on mismatches in general, if at all. But, I'd still like every now and then to see him work on his moves in the post, maybe a little jump hook. His game has always been very face up going back to Tennessee. But if he had, something like a little jump hook where he could use his size, his strength, muscle a guy in a little bit and then throw it up, like that would be just to add a little something, just something to what he's got. That would be a great thing for him to work on.
He's got the build for it. I mean, like, I don't know any other way to describe it, but he is like thick enough and bulky enough where he could do that. Even this is the new Slim Grant, but I mean, he still has,
like new age Danny Fortson before he ate himself out of the league. Yeah, so who else you got? Give me one more player who we want to shine on.
My guy, and I think we're going to disagree, even though I don't think it's not that you don't like this guy. It's just you might not have him third. I think it's Romeo. I think his confidence is so high, and I think he separated himself from Richardson and Neesmith on this depth chart for minutes.
You think so? You think this game put him ahead?
I thought last game did, even if just because it wasn't just because it was the game winner. I think it was his defense, just kind of how he was on the floor. He was in control. I'm seeing the consistency. Like, I don't expect Josh Richardson to ever wow me in a box score. I know that's not what he does. He's just the kind of quarterback that, like, if you're in the NFL, he's just a game manager. And that's what Josh Richardson does really well. He's never going to blow your socks off. And he's been doing that. At least he shot a little better today. But and Neesmith is, all hustle. But I think Romeo's the most consistent, and he's the biggest threat. I think he's the one that can actually get more buckets.
He's certainly got, I think, the highest ceiling of, I guess in this case, really the three, if you consider all three of those guys being Jay Rich and Neesmith. I think his ceiling overall in terms of offensive 3-level scorer, and even when you compliment what he does as a defender as well, I think his ceiling is maybe the highest. It's also maybe potentially, his floor may be as low as any of them.
It might be the lowest, but I think his ball handling is better than Neesmith's. Obviously, It's not better than Richardson's. Richardson's basically a secondary point guard on any lineup you want. That was the one nice thing about Schroeder being out. Richardson ran a lot of the offense for the bench unit, and he was perfectly competent running the point.
Absolutely. And so, and my guy is the player who he split that backcourt minutes with, and that is Pritchard,
Fair.
who had a nice little line tonight, 11 points, 5 assists, nice little outlet. There was a point where Tatum was off the court and no Al either. And they trusted Pritchard to just run the team, and make plays. And I thought he did that. I thought he did really well. When Tatum was in there, he was an outlet when necessary, but he's aggressive. I think he's a guy that I think both Jays now kind of trust. I obviously I still see, of course, Smart and Schroeder getting minutes over him, of course. But I still think Pritchard is a guy that, if they give him the ball, that they trust him to make the right decisions. And I think he's deceptively quick. He knows how to use angles to get into the lane and to make plays. He doesn't give up his dribble too much. He's starting to do that a little bit less. I thought he did that a ton last year early on, where he'd go into the lane and then give up his dribble and not know where to go. So I'm already starting to see a little growth on that. Obviously, the kid has the range. I love that last second shot he hit, with the buzzer going down. Like he steps in the shots with supreme confidence. And I think the Jays and Marcus have a ton of confidence in him. And so I think he's just going to get better and better as a point guard. I don't know. I still wonder how the Schroeder experiment here will go long term. Is this someone who's going to be with us all year? And if so, is he going to come back next year or whatnot? But regardless, I love having Pritchard on the team, and he's conducted himself really well. He fits in pretty much with any group he plays.
Yeah, his shooting is always going to be able to keep him on the court. And an underrated thing about him that we don't really think about is he's more of a contemporary of Jalen and Tatum. He's closer to their age than somebody that just came into the league a year ago. So, I mean, that, staying in school longer, it really did benefit him. And honestly, he's ready. Like, he's not your normal second year guy.
Absolutely no. He's not your normal second year guy. And I thought we saw a ton of growth in his game from the beginning of last year to the end of it. So I can't wait to see what he looks like at the end of this year. I suspect, like I said, there will be some battles for minutes and things like that, but he will certainly get his time on the court over the course of the season and get minutes to do some things. And right, his shot's always going to give him a chance to get on the court. But I think he can become a more complete guard over the course of the season. And so that's something that I'm really excited about as well.
What I liked is, Nurse, for some reason, was coaching this like a game 7. He was just being the annoying child that he is. So he threw a lot of different things that at Pritchard specifically, like the full court press. They went zone a bunch. They just did all these stupid little annoying things instead of just like playing basketball or seeing what his team can do. I don't know if he has something personal against Boston because of the bubble or what, or I just think Nick Nurse is annoying just to be annoying. It kind of seems like that's even his players kind of eventually tune out and, stay home like Siakam does a lot. But for whatever reason, yeah, he kind of tried to throw all this stuff at him. And I thought Pritchard handled it the best. Nice assist to turnover ratio, 5-1, always good. I never worried when he had the ball in his hands and they were trying to trap. I always knew the right play would be made.
So, how do you feel? The last, I'd say 5-6 minutes of the game was like, I'll take shitty lineups that you'll never see in a billion years for 800, Alex. It was our Ryan Arcidiacono and, 4 big guys who like don't really fit together at all, but they still somehow managed enough to get it done. Juancho really kind of saved their bacon a bunch of times with just his ability to kind of be a secondary playmaker with Ryan Arcidiacono. And he made a couple of nice plays, a couple of nice cuts to get that and one, hit a 3 in the corner. Juancho is showing himself to be a very useful player, regardless of when and where you put him in the game.
Yeah, he stood out in that lineup to me. But honestly, Bruno and Jabari, they just benefited from not being Canner. So they weren't good, but they weren't as bad as Canner. So I think that's why we kind of pulled away in that stretch. Jabari tries to do a little too much. I'd love him to calm down.
Yeah, he's got to slow way down. slow way down. Uh, obviously we'll see what happens with this with the 15th spot. We still haven't seen Garrison Matthews yet, or Theo Pinson, who I was surprised didn't get some run in this game to play with Archie Diacono as a secondary guard out there. But his towel waving was elite level on the bench. Theo was just, he was on point, like
Was
very
he?
almost Ken Bazemore level. Ken Bazemore is Hall of Fame towel waver, but Theo was pretty good.
Yeah, somebody was doing a little dance with Smart on the bench, and it had to be him because I didn't see anybody else with that much energy just being the,
That
ceremony.
sounds about right.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. But man, I mean, Jabari must be feeling the heat. Maybe he thinks or knows he's probably the odd man out, so he's trying to overcompensate. But he should have been the best player on the court at the end of that game. He has the most skill.
Right, right. I would have liked to have seen them just, tell him, hey, go into the post and just, we'll dump it to you. But he did a lot of driving, a lot of stuff, from the top, of the key down. And I thought at times he just kind of barreled in the guys and got a little bit out of sorts. But I
Too
don't
much
know.
ball. Why is he trying to handle the ball? He's not LeBron.
Right, right. I don't know. I think it's some of that, Chicago Pro-Am stuff. You can get away with that there, but you just can't do that in the NBA. You see that there. Yeah, I think a lot of people after they saw his highlights from Pro-Am, like, oh, Jabari was great. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But again, I thought Juancho at the end of that once again showed that he is indeed a useful player for this team. He's a smart guy who seems like he knows where to be and when to be there. So that was pretty great, honestly. I love Bruno's energy too.
Yeah.
He's nice. We'll see if some of those other guys play a little bit in the next game at all.
Do we think Tatum's going to sit the next game or the last game? Because he's going to sit one of the two, they say.
Right, right. I would sit him the last game personally, but you never know. I would sit him. I'd make this next game the dress rehearsal. And then the last game, just say, all right, we're just going to throw a bunch of guys out. We're going to see who's going to win this, back of the end spot, back of the end of the roster spot. I would give Tatum like the half of next game as a dress rehearsal. And then after that, shut him down for the rest of the game. That's what I'd do. And then the fourth game, I wouldn't even play him.
I agree.
What did you see from Toronto? Just to go a little bit into their side, what did you see from them today?
I love OG, man. He's becoming like baby Kawhi.
I did not expect his offensive game to start to blossom like this. I mean, I thought he'd be good, but I really didn't see, the level of skill he's starting to show out there. Like, I'm really impressed.
My guy Danger Cart might get mad for me stealing his take, but I totally agree. If I'm Boston, I'd rather have OG than even Beal or Levine. He would fit so well next to the Jays. It's unbelievable. Him elevating his game to where he's the best player on that team, and it's not even debatable at this point. Even if Siakam didn't just have that terrible season last year, I'd still take OG over him. That's something there. I don't know if they would. I don't know what they're trying to do. Are they trying to tank? Are they trying to be good? But there was about a year.
They've got too much talent to tank. Like, we didn't even see Boucher tonight. We didn't see Siakam as well. But like, when you think of Van Vliet and Siakam and OG and it's this kid, this kid they drafted. Obviously, Chua played well and also at 13 rebounds tonight. A few steals. He had a double-double tonight, 13 points, 13 rebounds. And they got Dragic, but I feel like Dragic is going to be a trade deadline candidate.
He wants to go to Avs. He wants to play with Luka. I don't see that lasting forever. He didn't even want to go to Toronto. Then he kind of took back his comments. Yeah, that seems to be just a temporary thing.
Scotty Barnes, man. He played great. He had 8 assists, he just dealing from the post. Broke Al down a couple of times off the dribble coming in, got into the paint, hit a, little 8-footer a few times. I mean, he's got a lot of skill. And once this, when they were saying on TV, but I mean, I agree. Once his jump shot comes around, he's going to be a really, really nice player.
Yeah, if he ever gets a jumper, watch out, because that's the only thing he's honestly missing. They threw him to the Wolves tonight. They had him guard Tatum. And honestly, I haven't seen, you can maybe count on your hand how many people have guarded Tatum as well as Scotty did tonight. Now, probably Tatum will figure him out. It's probably his first time even playing against him. But, man, what a first impression.
Yeah, man. He's got a lot of length, a lot of plays with a lot of energy and heart out there. I thought he looked really good, really good. And, they got Gary Trent as well, who's a, solid guard. Van Vliet was just raining down, even just tough as nails at 5'10", just still raining down threes, deep threes. And so there's still something there with that team. I can see them anywhere from maybe 7 to 10, but there's not enough there for them to tank. But I do wonder how the pieces are, if they're going to make the pieces fit. I don't think I'm no real center on that team.
They don't have a real center, and honestly, I don't know. They really want Van Fleet to be the point guard, and it's kind of an experiment. I think he's better off ball. So we'll see how long they kind of go with that and not just give the keys to Dragic, but Dragic doesn't run the offense. He didn't have an assist tonight. I know that's not always goes hand in hand with who's running the offense, how many assists you have, but he wasn't creating for others. He only creates for himself, which is, fine. He's earned that. But they really want to make Van Fleet the point guard. And I don't know. I think he's better off ball.
You'll see something to watch for as this goes on. So next game is Wednesday, I believe. Yes. Wednesday, and it's at Orlando again. It's at Orlando. And so that'll be a 7:00 game. As far as things to look for the next game, give me one or two things maybe you might be looking. Did we learn anything for sure in this game? Anything that we learned?
We learned that Rob and Al play really freaking well together. And
that was one thing we wanted to find out for sure. And I think the answer to that is yes.
Yeah, it's just beautiful basketball. Now, I don't know if you can make that the starting lineup, because if I see Canner go 1 for 7 on layups again, right. I might call the president of Turkey myself on him. So I'm sure you're familiar with Canner's,
But yeah, he had 10 boards in 15 minutes. He does what he does. I mean, obviously he's a matchup issue, but he's also consistent in that what you're going to get and what you're not going to get from him. That said, just because you run Rob and Al double big doesn't mean that you can, after the first 5 minutes, start to stagger them. You only really need to run them double big for maybe, depending on the game, maybe 15 minutes in a game. And then after that, you can start to stagger them between the rest of the time. with that, and obviously mixing some other stuff in there as well. But I feel like you're only going to see that one at the beginning of the first, of the third, and maybe the last 5 minutes of the game. So that just leaves the remaining 35 minutes for them to figure out, all right, who's going to play. And so
that's got to be the hope, because Canner might be the best offensive rebounder in the league. I'm fine with saying that. He's an elite rebounder. It just doesn't make up for all the stuff that he doesn't give you. Yeah. I mean, it was like a balloon getting the air deflated out of it, going from that first quarter to the second quarter when he came in.
Right. And they just got destroyed after giving up only 16 points in the first quarter. They got, with all the turnovers and all the issues with the defense, 43 in the second quarter. How do you feel about the switching? Speaking of that, like obviously it certainly can't work with Canner. And I don't know if this is just Udoka trying to get a bunch of tape, and it doesn't really matter if we win these games or not, because in the end, it really doesn't. I don't know if it's a matter of just wanting to get tape on guys and see, but I'm wondering if just in general, switching everything is a smart play, because guys got a lot of wide open looks against this defense.
Off those stupid handoffs. Now, everybody's not going to be like Nurse and run that nonsense, but if it works, people are going to copy it. The thing is, the switch everything defense works, but you gotta play, you gotta do it, you gotta work. And a lot of times I think our guys were a step behind. They weren't quick, they weren't communicating enough, and that's when they got beat. So yeah, you could do the switching defense, switch everything. You just got to be better at it. I mean, that's just it. It's got this in practice, like, hey, when they do this little handoff, either you're telling me to come up or I'm telling you to go up. Somebody's going to have to get up there, because if not, we're just going to get rained on by behind the 3-point line.
Indeed. So that'll be things to look for. So once again, we're going to play Orlando again with their, bevy of penetrating guards. Obviously, their trio of lightning quick, 6'4" guys, 6'4", 6'5" guys. And so switching on that is going to be something. It'll be interesting to see how we try to address that this time around.
I think that's
and if this if this game is in fact a dress rehearsal or not. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think that's okay with Orlando. Orlando doesn't have the shooters that like Toronto does. Right. I just be good enough at it, so when we do play the teams that are actual 3-point threats, that we can do it. Because I don't think it's the bigs that are really getting switched and, getting lost. Like, they have all those power forwards that shoot threes. I don't think it's that. It was the guards that killed us from the 3-point line for Toronto.
Yeah, that's true.
The Van, the Garys, who else they got over there? All those little guys, even Dragic.
Yeah, and shooting was great today after a so-so shooting game in the first one. Shot 47% from the field, 19 out of 40 for threes. Al, of course, as you said earlier, 4 for 4, could have been 5 for 5. Weren't for the offensive foul. I mean, like, offense was humming, and when it hums like that, I mean, that's going to be good. That's going to be good to see. And yeah, Jalen into that mix in there, hopefully, and things should really be humming.
And I hate plus minus. I know I do this every week, but one always stands out to me. But Rob, a plus 22 and 20. Like, I know it doesn't look like it because you look at his box score, he didn't even have a field goal, but he is impacting the game tremendously. And I really hope people are kind of noticing it.
I mean, he is certainly a presence at the defensive end. And even when he doesn't block shots, he's an intimidating factor there. And that he switches out on guys sometimes, and guys will still try to test him, but he can at least bother shots, if not, block them. But he makes it, he gives a competitive effort out on the perimeter. And so if you do that, I mean, it does give you a chance. So
Yeah, that defense hums when he's out there, man. That first 5-7 minutes of the game, where it's like 11-1.
you're right.
I mean, we just put them in handcuffs, and Rob was the biggest part of that.
Absolutely. So, yeah, we'll see if they do the double big out of the next game and continue going with that or not. Maybe slow down Mo Bamba this time, for a change. But we'll see what happens on Wednesday. Any final thoughts just to wrap this one up, Billy?
No, just, Big Al's back. We got
Big
his
Al is
sister
back, man, in full effect. It's great to see. I know some people, there have been doubters about him. This game doesn't necessarily cement it. It's still a preseason, but, it's okay to jump on the Al train now because I think it's buy your Al stock now if you haven't already, because it's going to be a good year. But with that, I think we will end this here. Billy, as always, great to hear your insight, your opinions on this. And like I said, guys, like and subscribe. We're going to be doing this all year. So if you're watching this now, great. If you're watching this after this fact and you're like, what is going on here? Like, this is what we do, people. This is what we do. So, this is not your everyday podcast. These are the regular guys. These are the regular guys. These are not the beat writers. It's not the guys that go and get all the quotes. We're the people up in the stands, like breaking it down, right? So if you want more of that, if you want to come be a part of it, if you want to join us on the show and give us your takes, this is the place for that. You don't have to just listen here. Here, you can be a part of the show. This is not just our show. This is not just my show. It's not Billy's show. This is everybody's show. All right. And so I'm opening this up to you. If you want, message us, come to Facebook, join the Facebook community group, send us a message, say, I want to be on your show and share my take about the team. We will chop it up. All right. That's what we're about here. All right. And with that, again, like and subscribe. Find us on Spotify or iTunes, anywhere else where podcasts can be found. And with that, we'll see you on Wednesday. All right. Take care.